Well, howdy ho, YouTube. It's KingCobraJFS with another video. Doing a little bit of guitar practicing because it is past 10 o'clock. I generally try to avoid the guitar with the amp. The acoustic's a lot more quieter. Well, anyways, I was playing the guitar over here. I look over my walk-in closet near my bathroom, and one of the towels just randomly flew off the shelf. Yeah. I most definitely have a very playful poltergeist in my apartment. Honestly, I can't say I'm complaining about it being here, you know. Um, I've actually had a couple of items just randomly fly off of things. It's happened in the kitchen a couple times. I had a bottle of disinfectant spray just randomly fly off the shelf. And the way it flew off was in such a violent manner that it broke the top chunk off the lid or some shit, not the container itself. So, yeah. I'm just sitting here kind of, dinking around on the acoustic. Yeah, I'm trying to learn the national anthem here, and I found a video for it, so if I can learn the entire song, I most definitely want to play it for a video for the 4th of July. But, yeah. So. I mean, the 4th of July is not for a couple of weeks yet, so I got time to learn the song. As far as learning it goes, there's like a bazillion different versions on YouTube. One version said have it tuned to open E, and I checked out this one guy's version, and he has it in standard, and I'm like, I'll just go with that version, just because it seems the easiest to play for me. So it's not quite all the way done, but it's getting there. I'm just sitting here kind of dinkering on my acoustic, and Winston, the little playful poltergeist, decides to make an appearance again. Only this time, freaking knocked a towel off the shelf. I wouldn't say it's a poltergeist, more or less just a spirit that resides in this particular apartment. Yep. You won't, if you lived in this apartment for a couple of months or so, based off of what I can gather with my third eye, if you will, Winston's not a very in-your-face kind of ghost. He's more of a, he's just there, or occasionally he'll make something move, and. This one time I was making a video on YouTube and someone had commented, "Whoa, I just saw Sean's leg move in the background." That was kind of cool. And yeah, I hadn't noticed it until someone pointed it out. And just sitting in my chair like I usually do, playing my guitar or whatever. And I noticed it. I was like, "Oh, that's kind of cool." So yeah. So Winston has made an appearance on camera before. It's just a matter of. I took the Ouija board I had, and I set it out on the kitchen table, just kind of left it there, just out in the atmosphere, whatever. And the activity around the apartment did increase ever so slightly. So, yeah. Generally, when I play guitar, I get a little frustrated with the mistakes, so I start dinking around on guitar, doing whatever else, just to kind of take my mind off whatever I'm learning for a second, and then come back to it. And yeah, there's times when learning guitar can be very frustrating. I mean, very frustrating. That's about as far as I've gotten into the song, so it's a slow learning process, but it'll get there. So I was apparently working on my bike last night, and this morning I noticed I had this huge ass cut, like right along the side of my pointer finger here, right on my fretting hand. I'm like, well, that kind of sucks. Oh well. I've been playing guitar a little bit since for a couple hours or so, and I took a break, and then decided to pull out the acoustic and tackle that for a bit. And yeah. And with the acoustic, you're not relying on distortion to hide some of the mistakes. So with acoustic, it really helps build your picking pattern up, if you will. This isn't the first time I've actually lived in a haunted location. The job corps I went to, the campus was haunted. And let's see, the past 3 houses I lived in before that were also haunted. I'm very susceptible to the spirit world, if you will. I'm very sensitive to that kind of thing. In fact, just the other night I was walking home and I saw this weird kind of stringy sort of mist pass by a tree, and I was like, what the? I stopped to stare at it, and I was walking home with Stephanie, and I'm like, honey, did you see that? She goes, see what? I'm like, the thing. She goes, no, I didn't see it. I'm like, oh, shit. So, yeah. And as far as I can tell, Winston seems to like me. He doesn't mind me being here because I'm not, forcing him to be out. Most people, when they see random occurrences like that, they freak out and they go, oh. But, I've told Winston on several occasions, he's welcome to stay here as long as he likes, I'm not bothered by his presence. So, yeah. Apparently, this isn't the only apartment in this complex that's haunted. I talked to my landlord at the last inspection, and she says that she's gotten complaints about shit like that. And I'm like, well. I mean, when it comes to ghosts, there's really not much you can do about it. You can try an exorcism, but there's no guarantee that it'll make the ghost stay away permanently, for one thing. And, for, what I'm saying? So, yeah. But ghosts do exist. Not all ghosts are evil and violent and demonic in nature. Some of them are just there, cut my fingers starting to sting a little. Oh, I really don't like getting cuts on my hand, especially on my fretting hand. That really just fucking bites, man. But kind of push through it here and try not to let this inconveniently located cut get in the way of my guitar playing. Even before I started playing guitar too, I actually slammed this finger in a car door once, and I yanked. I'm like, what the? I opened the car door and I got this cut right across my finger, like right about there. It's still there, and I had blood gushing down my hand and everything. That did not feel too good, I can tell you that much. I had to wear one of those metal finger cast things. It didn't require stitches, it was too tiny for it. So, yeah. Despite the fact my left hand's you could say a little fucked up, I haven't let it stop me from playing guitar by any means, you know. Damn it. Yeah. You should have heard my guitar playing earlier. I'm kind of kicking myself for not. I'm kind of kicking myself for not firing up the camera and just saying, "Hey, check this out," you know, because I was kicking some ass at guitar earlier today. But really? Fuck, I hate hitting the wrong note. That's like my biggest fucking pet peeve, is hitting the wrong note on the guitar. That's just... right there. But I guess no guitarist is truly perfect. Really? Hitting an extra string or hitting the wrong notes really pisses me off. I know it shouldn't, but it does. Because when it comes to my guitar playing, I am pretty much a huge-ass narcissistic perfectionist when it comes to my guitar playing. Holy shit. At least I can... Ooh, yeah, that time it... At least I can admit it, you know. But, Be a lot easier if I wouldn't let guitar playing piss me off this much, but... Damn it. You know what? I'm done playing guitar for today. I was gonna put the guitar away before I completely lose my shit, because this is starting to piss me off a little. Just a little. Just a little. And again, guitar playing shouldn't be this fucking frustrating, you know. But, you know, there's times YouTube that I expect too much of myself when it comes to my guitar playing. And I find that it doesn't really matter what it is, if it's guitar playing or whatever it may be. I find the biggest critics of ourselves. I think people are the biggest critics of themselves when it comes to anything in life, really. So yeah. Staff. Here's one staff. Here's another staff. Let's see. Here's this one. Here's this one. But yeah, it happened about a couple seconds ago when I was playing guitar there, and figured make a video and talk about it, I guess. But if we're gonna talk about, oh, actually, you know what sounds good right now? But to further dwell into the topic of the spirits, if you will, ghosts are a lot more capable of a lot of things, a lot more things than humans actually realize. Now, when you think of ghosts, you think of people that have long since passed on, died, whatever, right? If a ghost gets enough energy behind its manifestation, if you will, it can do a lot of damage. It can possess you, throw you against the wall, choke you, rape you, cut you, burn you with fire, flood your house, all kinds of just oof. So when you're dealing with ghosts, especially your more nasty, not so friendly ghosts, you want to take some caution here, okay? And I'm damn near 200 pounds and almost 6'4" here. I'm a pretty big dude, alright? But I'm telling you right now that, you know, you get into those haunted locations where the spirits are more malevolent, you know. And irregardless, it's just a respect thing, really, you know. When you're dealing with ghosts and poltergeists and all that, it's a respect thing. And the reason I say that is because you go in there with respect, they won't harm you. But then you get these idiots on TV who will go, do this, do that. You know, they ask the ghost to perform. And the manner in which they ask the ghost to perform is whether, like, a circus trainer cracking his whip at the animal saying, perform for this crowd now, or whatever. Not literally, but metaphorically, it's the same principle, right? So, naturally, you know. And the reason they do it is because there's supposed claims that if you piss off a ghost just enough, they'll react or do whatever, you know. That's, and people do shit like that because, again, they want to show you that these things exist. But there are plenty of awesome ways to get ghostly evidence without necessarily pissing off the spirit that resides within. You know what I'm saying? Because let's put yourself in their shoes for a second. You've been dead for how many years? Doesn't really matter. And some human being that's alive like you were once is just coming in here and telling you what to do and shit. And if you ask yourself that serious question, you'd be pissed about it too. I realized I poured too much Fireball in here, so I have to drain half this shot so I can pour some dew in here. Oh, yeah. Oh. So I've had more than my fair share of ghostly encounters. The recent one happened about a couple minutes ago before I started the video. And the weird thing about it is there's no window near my walk-in closet. So that rules out. Because here's the thing, YouTube. A lot of shit that you see in an old house can be explained away by natural causes. The house settles, it makes a weird creaking noise. Doesn't necessarily mean it's a ghost, right? But then, you know, once you've ruled out all plausible explanations, and none of them seem to fit whatever just happened, you only have the unnatural, you know. Now, everything you see or hear is a ghost. Some things can be explained away, obviously. But when you're left with those things you can't explain away, the only one explanation is ghost. Then you're left with that, then holy shit, you know, awesome. But, you know, and for a lot of people, there are going to be skeptics out there who don't believe, and they're more than okay to do so. It's just, you know, generally when they have an actual ghostly encounter for the first time, it generally wakes up their senses and makes them go, holy shit, this shit's real? Yeah. Cheers, YouTube. Although I think that's the first time I've seen Winston activity actually happen in the walk-in closet, which you see. Okay, turn the camera that way. See, that's pretty much where the walk-in closet, right there, that door you see right there, the door that's open. Okay, that's a walk-in closet, and right next to it's a bathroom. So, yeah. You know, most people, and there's something to be said about ghosts, especially when you're dealing with the stubborn ones. Some ghosts will feed off your fear, okay? So they do shit deliberately to fuck with your head a little, and you can ignore it or just kind of shrug it off, you know. But if you get angry with it or get scared of it or anything like that, you're only going to feed it and make it worse. Okay? There have been several cases documenting this, obviously. So. I have a couple of ghost books in my collection of books. A couple by Hans Holzer, to be specific, and really good read, you know. I've only burned through like one book. I need to finish like the rest of them, but yeah. And some of these books actually include photos of ghosts. The first ever ghost I saw was a full-bodied apparition, and that is how you'd say the holy grail of ghosts, you know. And the way ghosts work, because they are just energy and fragments of memory left behind in the space-time continuum of a past in that exact same space. Okay, they basically feed off electricity in the air. You know, if you go into a haunted location, say your cell phone was just charged, you fully charged it, and then 10 minutes later your cell phone's just completely dead for no fucking reason. You didn't make any calls or anything or shoot a long-ass text or whatever. And you're thinking, well, what the fuck? I just charged this thing. A good explanation for that would be ghosts. They suck the electricity out of the air and they combine it with their fragmented memory and some other thing, you know, and they make it happen. What the fuck did I... Case in point, because ghosts supposedly leave off electricity when they manifestate in the air, or suck electricity out of the air, ghost meter, okay. Push the button. Now, you point this near an outlet, that needle's going to spike all the way up and beep, okay? But say you point this thing at a random space, and if a ghost were to pass through it, and if ghosts do leave off electricity, the needle will spike and beep like crazy. Or beep a little, whatever, just beep in general. So yeah, the apartment is most definitely haunted. I've seen and witnessed it multiple times. A dark hole was sitting in the ashtray, and Winston's knocked out of the ashtray a couple times. I can't remember which video it was, but I made the video and then someone commented like, holy shit, I just saw your dummy's leg move in the video. And sure as shit, I looked and I'm like, oh wow, you can see it. Oh, cool. Yeah. I'm positive it's on this channel. That much I know. Was not expecting that, but at the same time, I'm like, oh man, it's kind of cool, you know. But, yeah. So yeah, and sometimes Winston's camera shy, or most of the time he's camera shy, you know. To this day, I'm still thinking, holy shit, you know, it's kind of cool. I actually was able to catch that activity. And the thing of it is, that mild activity I caught with my dummy Sean's leg moving that day was completely voluntary. I didn't forcefully ask, you know, hey, could you do this, you know what I'm saying? I didn't. So, yeah. But if you ever get a chance to go ghost hunting in an area, especially that's really haunted, I take the opportunity, you know, you might learn something, you know. Um, Abandoned asylums are awesome for ghost hunting. Oh, I was so want to visit one. Oh. See, if I had the chance to go to a haunted asylum that's been abandoned for years, yeah, a couple things: Ouija board, wand, voice recorder, that little ghost meter I have, a video camera. It's basically the 5 things I need. And I wouldn't have some huge ass fucking crew following me around. I go in there for one whole fucking night and just do a little ghost investigating. Straight up. You know. But when you're investigating areas like abandoned asylums and shit, there's a lot of things you want to be careful of. Obviously, the building's foundation, you don't want it to be so decrepit that there's just a bunch of shit you gotta look out for. Rusty nails, you don't want to step on, on those or anything. So, you know. And your ghosts that reside in abandoned asylums, if there are any in those type of situations, are usually going to be ghosts of patients who died in that hospital. And, these are asylums that, before what they are now, obviously, they use these insanely awful methods for patients. Electrical shock therapy, for one. Lobotomies with, I don't know, sticking a needle through the eye or some shit. Not just above it, not puncturing it, but just enough to where they can stick it above the eye and kind of poke and prod the brain. I don't know. It's horrible shit, right? So, and if they died unhappy and miserable, chances are they're going to be pretty pissed off when you go in there and just start asking them to do this, do that, do this, do that. So, when it comes to the spirits and all that, you go in with a sense of ready to learn and respect. Plain and simple, Because you'll be dead one day, whether you realize it or not. And if you die in your final place you die in, you decide subconsciously that you don't want to go to the light just yet, that you want to stay behind. You have that choice, You have that choice. Albert Einstein said you cannot make energy and you cannot destroy it. So where does it go when you die? Simply put, wherever you are at that time, if you die, your energy is just left in the air and it's absorbed into your surroundings, basically. Yeah. But here's the thing, though. This apartment complex I live in was built in 1938. So all the energy that all the people have passed through this apartment complex from 1938 to now, all the energy that's here and then and now is all existing in this apartment complex within the structure of it, basically. And to you, that sounds like a bunch of hogwash, but to me, that makes sense, So all the history that's happened in this apartment complex from 1938 to now, okay, all the energy is just right here in one spot, just crammed into it into this building. All the energy is crammed into this building like a can of sardines, if you will, Yep. I wonder if Winston would be kind enough to make Sean fly off the shelf. Winston's done that a couple of times. Me and Stephanie are just kind of chit-chatting, whatever, in the apartment. And we look over, and Sean just goes, we're off the shelf. So when I say playful poltergeist, it doesn't really cause any harm. It's just saying, hey, I'm here still, That's kind of how, yeah. So yeah, I think ghosts and all are fucking awesome, to be honest with you. I think it's cool shit. Another example of ghostly activity is, let's say you had a person who smoked a pipe or pipe tobacco, and then they died or whatever. And sometimes you get these stories where, excuse me, their ghost is said to leave behind the smell of pipe tobacco, even though there's no one in the area smoking said pipe. So that's another way that ghosts let you know they're there, is the smell of tobacco if they were smokers and before they died. So yeah. That and cologne and stuff like that, and perfumes, and yeah. It's the weirdest thing too, to be in a haunted location and then no one's wearing this perfume or what have you, and all of a sudden you smell it in the air. It's just thick, and you're like, "What is this? This is weird." And then it goes away. That's a very common thing in hauntings, especially, is if you have a ghost of a woman or a man who wore a certain cologne, and they walked with them when they died. Chances are you're gonna smell that as they do their thing or whatever. But Winston doesn't have to knock Sean off the shelf for the video. I really honestly don't care. It's "Hey casa, su casa," But it's happened at least once. So. This cut up my fingers just right down from about here. So about 1.5 inches from the tip of my finger down to about the first joint of my finger right there. And it's very thin, and you can't really see it. It was a lot more visible this morning. But yeah. Now, because of the cuts on my knuckles and the cut on my finger, I ended up wearing gloves today at work just because I didn't want to contaminate anything. But take a look at that cut from a couple days ago, and it looks a lot better, doesn't it? Yeah, I think it does. I don't want to be losing any fingers now. But it's important when you get cuts, especially cuts on your hands. When you wash your hands, make sure you want to get a little extra soap when you're cut there and kind of wash it out every so often. And, keeping the cuts clean and shit. And as a result, I can bend my middle finger. It's just, yeah. I know for the fact, though, I'm not the only one out there who's actually had a ghostly encounter. I saw a video on YouTube by Ghost Study, and the video is called "Death in the Victorians," and it's a pretty awesome video. If you get a chance to check it out, and it shows life after death, and some people, they fear that kind of thing. They fear it because they don't understand it. You get a sense of understanding from that kind of thing, and you figure out what it's about. It's not really necessarily a bad thing. But yeah, tomorrow's gonna be pretty straightforward for me. My day off tomorrow, so hopefully tomorrow I'll get the beach cruiser done, and yeah. So maybe like 3 to 4 things left on it. Put the back tire on, get all that assembled, get the wires hooked up. Excuse me. Put gas and oil in it, and then take it for a test drive, and hopefully it runs. Because that's gonna suck if we spend all this time putting it together and then come to find out it doesn't work. I'd be pissed. I'd be like, "What the fuck is this shit?" But yeah, just sitting there playing acoustic guitar and whatever, and I had excuse me. I had some towels folded on the shelf in my walk-in closet, and had a black towel just go fall off on the floor. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. I stopped, put the guitar down, went to go pick it up, and threw it back on the shelf. So, yeah. There's been a couple of ghost shows I've seen on TV, and they were filming it live, and they've actually caught ghostly encounters, an actual ghost on TV a couple times. They were doing this investigation at this hotel that used to be a bank, and they talk about this lady in a blue dress with brown hair who would dance in the ballroom. And right as they're filming it, the camera kind of stops for a second, and you actually catch the apparition on camera. Well, that's kind of cool. And then they had this other show. They were, I can't remember. These are two different shows. They were talking about this house that was a restaurant now, but these two sisters used to live in this house. And this guy is doing an interview on the staircase, and the camera kind of pans off to the side for a second. You see the apparition of one of the sisters kind of walking by, and it disappears. It's like, whoa, So yeah, when you get these ghostly encounters, they're really cool. They are, And then you got the people who think they're being funny on YouTube who make fake ghost videos. Some idiot wearing a sheet above his head. You can clearly see the ghost outlined in the red circle or whatever. I'm like, yeah, that looks real convincing. But yeah, when guitar playing starts frustrating me to the point where I'm beating my head into my guitar just a little, I'm just like, yeah, maybe I should stop for today. And it doesn't just frustrate me like that on the spot, but I'm trying to do a proper scale on YouTube and play it all the way through, and I keep fucking up on the notes. It's just like, suppose it could be worse though. Well, me and Stephanie went to the Wonder Bar, and the Wonder Bar is most definitely haunted. The first time we went there, I raised my glass and I said, "Here's to the spirits that reside in the building. Cheers," and to good times. And I took a drink, and the light above me and Stephanie's table kept on blinking periodically. And the second time I went there, Stephanie had went in to use the restroom, and the light in the restroom had blinked when she'd washed her hands. And I didn't know when exactly it blinked. She just came out of the bathroom and said, "Oh yeah, the light blinked. I was in the restroom." I'm like, "Oh, Second time I went there, same thing happened. I said, "Here's this," raised my glass and all that. Then we got back to the apartment, and I asked her. I said, "The light blinked when you were washing your hands, didn't it?" And she goes, "Yeah, but here's the thing, YouTube. She didn't tell me when the light had blinked. She just told me it blinked." How's that for awesome, huh? So. Yeah, if you ever get a chance to go ghost hunting, I recommend it. It could be a great experience, and definitely eye-opener for some who don't believe, especially, and I can understand why people don't believe in ghosts, because Hollywood especially, you can create one with Photoshop really easily, or Adobe Flash Player or whatever, real easily. You can video edit one. Um, People fake that kind of shit all the time on YouTube for a couple thousand views or so, just so they can say, hey, look, my ghost video got this many views or whatever, whatever. Mm. But you start getting, and here's the thing though, even if you're in a haunted location, and you have more than 3 to 4 people in different locations, to me, if I don't know the person personally, and the credibility does go down a little bit with each person you add to your supposed ghost hunting crew, because there's probability of them just fucking with the camera just to get views and shit. But I saw an episode of Ghost Adventures. It's one of the shows I do like to watch, and they were doing an investigation in California. I believe it was California. I'm not entirely sure. On Wolf Manor, and Wolf Manor is extremely haunted. Ho 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 ho! The history behind that building, holy shit. Okay, and again, depending on the history of the building is depending on how serious your hauntings are going to be. Okay, and there have been some cases, I'm sure there are, where you know a certain building may have had a tragic history, but there may not be a haunting behind it. It really just depends on the location and the energy that resides with it, really. Um, this one particular night at Job Corps, um, a lot of shit was happening. I mean, I actually witnessed a possession of a Job Corps student by whatever entity was at that Job Corps center. Well, it started off with the room that I was staying in at Job Corps getting very cold. I mean, it was like, holy shit, cold. And the air conditioning was on, so we turned that off and waited, And about 20 minutes later, it was still pretty cold. And then we saw a woman pass by the window, long brown hair, white dress. Happened 2 seconds. And I heard one of the roommates say, "Did you see that woman that passed out the window?" I'm like, so I wasn't the only one that saw that. Yeah. And then here's what happened after that. The alarm clock started emitting staticky noises. like it was between radio frequencies. And one of my roommates, had been acting a little weird before that because they were experimenting with binaural beats, and they weren't exactly in the right state of mind to be experimenting with that kind of thing. And he had a sign hanging above his locker in the dorm room that fell off. After that fell off, the alarm clock continued to get more and more staticky, and it got to the point where the roommate picked up the alarm clock and chucked it against the wall. And me being kind of a smartass, because we were all watching this whole thing go down, I said, well, I guess so-and-so took care of it, He got up and, because one of my roommates kind of laughed at the joke I made, and, he wasn't acting like himself. He ended up punching my roommate in the face, and, my roommate went to the dorm staff, and they took care of it. No one got termed or anything, but, after he came out of his possession or whatever, he was a little shaken up, but otherwise fine. That's when they took some sage and began cleansing the room, so to speak. And that made the haunting go down just a little bit to where it wasn't there as often, but it was still there nonetheless. And the spirits or whatever entities resided at that Job Corps campus. Whatever it was most definitely feeding off all the drama and negativity and bullying that was going on the campus. And I got in a spot of trouble with one of the staff members for taking their bike around campus for a joyride. Well, as punishment, a particular staff member in question had me organizing the gym storage, this little room above the gymnasium, right? Well, as I'm sitting there organizing it, right, I witness one of the bikes on the rack fall off, all by itself. I'm like, you have to try a little harder than that if you want to scare me. I said that kind of challengingly, right? Well, about 2 seconds later, a tall, hooded figure, all black, just appears in front of me, just menacing as all hell. Energy behind this thing is just like, I'm gonna, And it disappeared. I laughed. I'm like, is that the best you got? And I kind of chuckled and continued with my business. Well, about 2 seconds later, the first thing that happened, was that those foldable basketball hoops, that thing kind of collapsed on itself. That's why I mentioned you have to try harder than that to scare me. That's when the hooded figure appeared, and I laughed at it, and it disappeared, and one of the bikes fell off the bike rack after that. Well, needless to say, the staff member in question, after my punishment was said and done, seemed to be somewhat impressed by how I straightened the place up and shit. So, yeah. In fact, one time I had my airsoft pistol here. I had it laying on a shelf somewhere, and I heard a loud clunk. I look over, and my pistol had slidden off the shelf all on its own, and was on the floor next to the shelf. I'm like, aww. So, yeah. So I've most definitely had my fair share of ghostly encounters, if you will. I am a firm believer in the paranormal. However, I will acknowledge that there are some things you can explain by natural causes, and there's some things that you really can't explain, you know. I mean, if you choose to be a skeptic even after you've been faced with evidence you can't explain away by natural causes, have at it, Haas. It's totally up to you, okay? But when evidence presents itself in a way that says, this is a ghost, this is what they're capable of, you know. So as far as the hauntings that Winston in this apartment complex of mine here, not mine, this is look, in this apartment, this isn't my complex, excuse me, sorry. In this apartment here that I reside in, you know, it's very mild, really. It's nothing too severe, you know, because I've actually done my research, and, you know, ghosts are capable of a lot more than people realize. And, you know, there's times that ghosts can be frightening, but like I said, there are some ghosts out there that they feed off that energy. And if you give them that attention, they will use it to their advantage. Yeah. So, um, well, until then, this is KingCobraJFS with another video. I got carried away in my little ghost lecture, didn't I? Oof, long ass video, right? Well, anyway, thanks for watching my video, and see you all later.